My name is April Fellman, and I'll be reporting on a week's worth of weather observations from April 14th through April 20th for my ATM 101 Alaska Weather and Climate class. My observations were taken at my home in Delta Junction, Alaska, which is in the interior of the state, about a quarter mile away from Clearwater Lake. And they were taken between 8 and 8:30 p.m. each day. I actually took 6 days of weather observations rather than just 5, so you'll only see 5 on the graphs and on the chart. But I actually started on Saturday, April 14th, and at 8:33 p.m. the sky was about half covered with cirrostratus clouds, and there were a few altocumulus clouds as well, but it was a generally nice day, and it was pretty still outside. In fact, I recorded a Beaufort number of 0 because there was no wind blowing, not even a hair in my face. The millibar pressure was 975, and the temperature at this time was 44 degrees Fahrenheit on the left thermometer probe, which is 6.6 degrees Celsius, and 44.4 degrees Fahrenheit on the right thermometer probe. The maximums of Saturday were 58.5 and 58.7 degrees Fahrenheit, with the minimums being 24.6 and 24.4 degrees Fahrenheit, so pretty warm out. And on Sunday, my second observation was taken at 8:18 p.m. Again, the sky was about half covered with cirrostratus clouds. There were also some cirrus clouds higher in the sky. I could tell because they were really milky white, and the cirrostratus were almost a transparent layer. There was a gentle breeze coming from the north at about 20 degrees. You could see the tree limbs ever so slightly swaying, which is why I gave it a Beaufort number of about 2. My hair was also blowing in my face. The temperatures were 48.7 and 48.2 degrees Fahrenheit on both probes at the time of observation, which was 9.3 and 8.9 degrees Celsius, and the maximums of Sunday the 15th were 57.4 and 57.8 degrees Fahrenheit, minimums 29.5 and 29.1. On Monday, my observations were taken at 8:23 p.m. Again, we had clear skies, beautiful weather. The wind was about a Beaufort number of 1, again coming from the north, from about 20 degrees, very gentle breeze. You could barely just tell your hair blowing in your face. No tree limbs were moving or anything. The temperatures at the time of observation were 50.2 and 49.9 degrees Fahrenheit on both thermometer probes, which was 10.1 degrees Celsius. The maximums of Monday were 57 and 57.4 degrees Fahrenheit, with minimums of about 23 degrees. And on Monday, as I said, the skies were clear, but you could see some cirrostratus clouds to the south, and there were a lot of mosquitoes out. The millibar pressure was 976 millibars, which dropped from 977 millibars that we saw the day before on that Sunday. Now, on Tuesday, the skies were again clear, beautiful week. There were some cirrostratus clouds to the north. It was like a thin, almost transparent layer. But as I said, the skies were generally clear. The wind was very, very gentle. I would say maybe a Beaufort number of 1. Again, you could only tell when I licked my finger and stuck it out. I could feel like a little bit more of a cold temperature coming from the north, again at about 20 degrees north. The millibar pressure was 975, so it just dropped 1 millibar from the day before. But blue, beautiful skies, very calm outside. The temperature at my time of observation at 8:23 was 49.5 degrees Fahrenheit and about 9.9 degrees Celsius. And on the maximums of the day, we had 56 degrees and 56.4 degrees Fahrenheit, with minimums at 25.7 and 25.3. Now moving on to Wednesday, which was the 18th of April, we saw a difference, and the skies were about completely covered with clouds. It was still, generally warm and nice out, but we had nimbostratus clouds to the north. You could see a dark kind of lower layer of gray. These darker gray clouds were also to the east. There were also like a medium gray layer of stratocumulus clouds a bit higher in the sky. And the gray wasn't quite as intense with those stratocumulus clouds. There were some tiny patches of blue sky that you could see to the south. But even with this cloud cover, the wind was generally calm, a Beaufort number of about 1. Again, just my hair slightly blowing in my face. It was coming from the north at about 20 degrees, which is what we witnessed for all the other days as well. And I also licked my finger and I could tell that the slight, gentle breeze was coming from the north. And the pressure still was 975 millibars, which was the same pressure that we saw the day prior. The temperatures at my time of observation at 8:10 were 49.5, and this equals 9.7 degrees Celsius. The maximums of the day were 52.3 and 52.4, with minimums of 32.7 degrees Fahrenheit. And finally, on Thursday, which was my final day of observations, I again took my observation at 8:10 p.m., and there was no wind at all on Thursday. It was completely still outside. I licked my finger, but I couldn't tell any direction that the wind was coming from. The skies were about half covered. You could see patches of altocumulus clouds and also stratocumulus clouds. I could tell the difference because the stratocumulus clouds were lower in the sky than those altocumulus clouds. But they were just patched around the sky, and you could see this bright blue sky really peeking through those clouds. And those alto and stratus clouds were kind of a light gray color. And they were really all over the sky, but only covered about half the sky. They were just randomly scattered. And the millibar pressure at that time was 976 millibars, which actually rose from 1 millibar from the day prior. The temperature at my time of observation was 51 degrees Fahrenheit and 50.5 degrees Fahrenheit on the right thermometer probe, which is about 10 degrees Celsius. The maximums of the day were 59.4 degrees Fahrenheit, with minimums at 28.2 and 28.1 degrees Fahrenheit. And something interesting to mention, that despite, the different cloud coverage throughout the week, there was no precipitation during any of my observations. It did slightly rain on Thursday in the earlier afternoon, but not at my time of observation. So during my times of observations, no rain, no snow was falling. Something interesting to see in the air temperature throughout the week is you can clearly see the diurnal cycle in the National Weather Service temperatures. And in my observations, you can tell that around 8, we saw the maximums of the day, which is probably because the sun is staying out longer. So yes, my observations pretty much corresponded, maybe 1 or 2 degrees below the maximums of the day, but they corresponded well with the National Weather Service, and you can see how my minimums were just slightly lower than the National Weather Service minimums, and my maximums were just about around the National Weather Service maximums. And again, you can see that I was just below the maximums of the day at my time of observation, which was about 8 p.m. So though we don't necessarily have our maximum temperatures at noon, because in Alaska we have the sun out longer, I would guess that it was just a couple hours before that we would have reached our solar noon, since my time of observation, my maximums were pretty close to the maximums of the day. When we look at barometric pressure, yes, my barometric pressure does seem like it's far below the National Weather Service, but that's because the National Weather Service is set to sea level, and they are naturally going to read higher than ours. But you can see that my barometric pressure and the National Weather Service, they follow the same genuine trend, starting higher in the week, gradually declining a bit, and rising back up toward the end of the week. And in my observations, the millibar pressure only rose and fell by about 1 degree, 1 millibar each day throughout the week. So really we had a pretty steady barometric pressure and just beautiful clear skies, indicating that for the most part we had high pressure systems. Our highest humidities were at the beginning of the week around 414 and the end of the week on 419, and you could see that that was about 90%. And one thing I wanted to clarify is you'll see that my last observation was taken on 419, but I actually ran them throughout the night. So the minimum and maximums actually came into 6 almost 7 a.m. on the 20th. So though I took my last observation, the temperature readings extended into the 20th, so I could get 24-hour cycles during each of my 6 days. And then I just wanted to mention that our lowest humidity was about 60% this week. And then you can see that the dew points rise and fall with the humidity. On April 14th, you can see we were kind of on the outer bands of a high pressure system, and that's pretty accurate because we were having beautiful clear skies. So on the night of the 14th, when I took my observations, our skies were clear, and you can see how the surface map agrees because we are on the outer bands of that high pressure system. Now on the 15th, you can see that low pressure system kind of moving north, but we're still around 1013 1013 millibars as indicated by the surface map, and that's about right with what I witnessed. We had clear skies and it was generally nice weather again on Sunday evening, which was the 15th. And on the TV weather map, you can also see that we haven't reached, or the low pressure system hadn't moved into our area. We're about up here in the interior Alaska, and it actually looks like we're kind of on the outer bands of that high pressure system, which corresponded with the nice weather we were seeing Sunday night. And though you can see there's some rain indicated, that looked to be a little north of our area, and I did not see rain during my observation. Now this is the surface map for the 16th, and you can see that Delta, which is located about right here, kind of missed those low pressure system bands or isobars, and was about 1013 was the closest millibar pressure, which corresponded with the clear skies that I observed and the really fair weather for that high pressure. And on the TV map for the day, you can see that Delta, which is located in the middle of the state, also missed that low pressure system and still had clear skies as I observed. And again, on Tuesday the 17th, I observed clear skies, and you can see that we look to be sort of on the outer bands of a high pressure system, or at least that's what it looks like on the surface map for the day. We still had clear weather on Tuesday. And here's the TV weather map on Tuesday, and you can see that blue high pressure system was around Delta Junction, coordinating or corresponding with those clear skies. Now on the 18th, which was Wednesday, is when I saw those nimbostratus clouds, and that is in correspondence with the surface map because you can see low pressure systems in the area. So we saw those clear skies turn to those nimbostratus clouds. And on the TV weather map, you can see that we were moving from a high pressure system into a low pressure system, which is why we saw those clear skies on Tuesday, moving to those stratocumulus and nimbostratus clouds on Wednesday. And on Thursday, we were still in that low pressure system, though it was still generally nice outside. There were altocumulus and stratocumulus clouds in the area, and you can see that the low pressure system was still in the area. And again, the TV weather map agrees with the surface map and my observations. There was a low pressure system in the area, but I actually didn't observe the precipitation as it happened. It occurred earlier in the day before my observations. So we had a beautiful week of weather, but we did move from a high pressure system from Saturday night through Tuesday night, and then a low pressure system blew in and stayed for Wednesday and Thursday, and that really helped me see how the cirrostratus and cirrus clouds do indicate a low pressure system or a different pressure system blowing in. because we saw those cirrus clouds during the nice clear days, and that gave way to the low pressure system.